What's going on, guys? As you saw in one of my older videos, we were in Texas, Fort Worth to be exact, at the Metroflex gym, the Castle. Great gym. Got to meet USAPL lifter Darrington. Awesome guy. He did the seminar with us. Able to talk to him a little bit about his training and what he's doing. So definitely one of the better gyms I've been to as far as atmosphere, equipment, and everything else goes. So these next couple clips are going to be from us in Texas. This was a deadlift day for me, and Chris was doing some heavy pause squats, so I got those on there as well. He worked up to 700 for a double. So enough about him. Nobody really cares because he's not a competitive lifter anymore. Instagram lifter. Make sure you guys let him know that. And so moving on to my training, I kind of discussed a little bit of this hypertrophy phase and what I'm trying to build and what I'm trying to do. On my deadlift day specifically, the biggest thing I am trying to work on is positioning and strengthening through the hips. Right, so working on building a better position, better hip hinge, which I'm doing through some kabuki movements that you can find on the website. And with this eccentrics here, what you're doing is on the lower end portion, you're putting yourself in a better position. Everybody has a better position when they go down, right? And that's why the second rep always feels better, because you're able to start in a far better position than your first rep, which eventually you'd want to mimic and be able to dial it in. So that what the eccentrics are doing is slowing down the movement while I'm in a more advantageous, better position to load up the hips and just build those muscles somewhat in a slower fashion, right? In order to, there's two types of flexibility. You have passive and you have active. Passive flexibility is being able to get into the position that you want to get into. Active flexibility is being able to hold that position under load. So I found the best way to build active flexibility is through eccentrics, is through isometrics in that position, and things of that nature. So the 4-second eccentrics that I'm doing here is specifically designed to build up strength throughout the movement in the best position possible. And so far it's been paying off really well. I've had to add in quite a bit more movement stuff that I've gotten from Chris and Brady Cable, another guy from our staff. So beyond those two things, adding in the hip stuff and doing some more concentrated hip work and things of that nature, I've been able to keep my hips pretty healthy and really starting to see the benefit of hip drive, hip hinging, and keeping them in a better position. So I'm happy with the progress made so far. This bench session here was a bit of a grinder because I only had about an hour to train. You know, being in Texas, just kind of got to play by their rules, do what they do. So instead of doing what I had originally planned, I just made it a extremely bodybuilding specific day. Went up 5 kilos every 90 seconds. By the time I got to 330, it was a lot harder than I thought it should have been. But then again, I'm not in the best cardiovascular shape or muscular endurance shape right now after a meet. So feeling pretty good about the actual workout, and I was pretty sore the next day, which usually never happens. So I may start throwing this in more and more and more. We'll see how it goes, but just want to give a big shout out to the Metroflex gym for accommodating us, letting us train, letting us do the seminar down there. It was a great time, and definitely looking forward to doing the next one in March in San Diego. So talking a little bit about the deadlift training, that's kind of the specifics of it. I'm doing 2 deadlift variations and then a squat variation. The squat variation is going to be a wider squat variation, so either box squats or paused wide squats. And same concept, just taking one day to really work hip specific stuff. That way I get full recovery going into my next training session. I found that if I do too many wide stance hip stuff back to back, or within a close proximity of each other, then my hips get really beat up and I'm just not able to recover, and then I start having bad sessions. So the key here is just finding what frequency and what volume works best to allow maximal recovery. And as far as the bench press goes, I'm doing that twice a week, doing one day very specific to competition wide grip, mainly because that is the grip that doesn't aggravate my shoulder. As you saw in the last video, I was doing chains, but in Texas, unfortunately, they didn't have any, so I had to do just the touch and go. But this week I was back to chains, so you'll see that in the upcoming videos. And just mainly working on just building that position up and trying to stay healthy. I'm not really doing much to cause any aggravation. I am getting some Graston work done, I am getting some ART work done, and it seems to be helping out a lot. Big improvements week to week, so I'm happy with that, and I should be healthy and ready to go after this hypertrophy block, which was the whole point of it to begin with. You know, everything has a plan, everything has an intent, and I just try to do it to the best and carry it out to the best of my ability. Back to some front squats. Getting better at these week to week. The Duffalo bar really helps my horrible position. With the Graston work and everything, I found that my shoulder blades are really restricted, so the fact that she's now opening them up, literally taking the Graston tool, digging it in my shoulder blade and lifting me off the table to open it up, has really helped with positioning. Will it ever be great? Probably not, because I don't do them often enough, and it's good enough, put it that way, to get the job done. And as long as I keep it within a certain weight and rep range, it's not a limiting factor, and that's just kind of what I go by. Stiff leg deadlifts. So on squat days, I'm doing some pre-exhaust stuff before the front squats, and then after that, I am doing some stiff leg deadlifts and then another squat variation. So, and I've also added in a third squat day, just building it up nice and slow. Anytime you add in any type of extra frequency, you want to do it at a pace, kind of like a snail's pace. So the extra day is very, very small, very, very simple. It was right before, about 2 hours before my main bench session. I did 2 sets of 6 single leg press, and I also did 3 sets of 6 belt squats. And the next week, I'll go to 3 sets of 8 single leg, and then probably 3 sets of 8 belt squats, and eventually working to where I'll either do some high bar squats or front squats on this day, or just stick with the belt squats. It's really dependent on recovery. I'm not pushing it, I'm just trying to get in more work throughout the week, but still main primary focus is recovery between sessions, so that the sessions that have the biggest bang for their buck are healthy and ready to go. And you know, as you get further into prep and get stronger and stronger, I feel like the less frequency sometimes is better, depending on how you set up your training. So it's all individual, and that's kind of why I love to coach and do what I do, is because it's a science experiment every time, and you know, there's always concepts behind everything you do, but a lot of it is just trial and error and figuring out what works best for that person. And if you have a coach that just gives you a program and doesn't really adjust it according to your needs, then you can always come hire me, tmnutrition.net, or you can go through the Kabuki coaching service. I work for them as well, doing coaching and stuff. So that's just kind of a little bit of a wrap up of training. Next one, I'll go over some nutrition. I got a nutrition Q&A coming out, so make sure you guys subscribe so you can catch all those videos. Make sure you like and make sure you share. Appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, take care.